Hi guys, and today we're doing another video, and we're doing a review of the LUXE Hexpeak review. So now let's get along with this video.
Good job, Charlie. So we're going to be doing the review of the LUXE Hexpeak. It's a teepee for winter camping. It's also a ultralight teepee setup for backpackers and hikers. It weighs less than 2 pounds. I get it for wintertime use. It does come with a stove jack. If you go to LUXE.com, you can find it through the States, but it is a United Kingdom product. The stove jacks in the American version, they are added in after, and it's a feature that they put on their teepees for the purpose of winter camping and using the stoves. Same as the 3M stoves that come, or is a product of LUXE. They break down, they can slip into your backpack, really light, but I never went with the 3M stove. I went with the Kni-co packer. It's a bigger stove. It does not break down. It does weigh a fair amount more, just shy of 10 pounds. What else? It has a bigger firebox. It's 21 inches, and it gives off more heat. So in a smaller teepee such as this one, you don't have to have it full blast in the stove, but it does, give me the option if I want to get a bigger teepee. I have my stove already, and I don't have to buy another stove. The price of the LUXE Hexpeak is $239 American, so for Canadians it was around $270, $280. It does have the option of snow skirts on the bottom. I never get it with the snow skirts. For me, I'll just pack snow up along the edge, but it gives me a little bit more ventilation. If I wanted to, I could make snow skirts up for it, for around the bottom. But again, there's a ton of options that LUXE has with the teepee itself. So if you go to their website, it has all the details on it. But today we'll be setting up the teepee along with the stove inside, and my little helper Charlie.
Hi.
So we'll unpack it, we'll set it up, and we'll go over it. It takes a couple of minutes, so only a couple of minutes to set this up. So you have to stick at 4 points. I stick with the door first. 1, 2. Then I come out to the back. I stake this back corner and the opposite ones. Now LUXE only sends 4 tent stakes with you, and it sends you only enough rope for 4 points. So you have to tie on extra rope for the tie down points in between. So I tied them on each point in between the stakes. So you do have to buy extra stakes, and you do have to buy some extra twine or rope to tie in between. The tent is a single pole construction. You have to cut it for 65 inches. What I done, where I set it up here in the backyard, I took a piece of copper pipe, put a cap on the end so it doesn't poke through the top of the tent, but I used a 2x10 base down here, and just to rest it on, and I taped it up in the top. It stands, when you cut the pole, you want it around 65 inches. That way it'll give it a nice tight fit, or stand straight up. Inside the tent, as you can see, it's nice.
Very nice.
It's a good sized room. Here, Charlie, lay down for a second, Char. Let's show how much room they got.
It's made for 2 people.
With the stove, or 1 person with the stove, or 3 people without a stove. So it has all kinds of room. If I'm laying out, all kinds of room. Beautiful construction. It's a bottomless floor. Again, I never get it with the snow skirts. I can build up the bottoms with logs or snow in the wintertime. But I like the extra ventilation. The stove jack
goes from up there.
Up there, you have to cut the hole in it yourself. I just cut an X with little slots on the other side. I don't want to completely cut the hole out. In case I want to seal it back up, I can. So I just cut an X and I fit the stovepipe up through that way. I know some people do cut it out, but LUXE done a good job on putting a good size patch in for a stove jack, and they taped all the way around it. The heat has not affected the tent at all, but you do have to cut it out to size. It has a removable patch, so if you want to use it in the summertime without a stove, nice patch that goes onto it. And when you put your stove on inside and the pipe, it comes with a rain flap, so it lays against your stovepipe, so when it rains it doesn't run in around your pipe, it runs down the sides of it. So again, that's another neat feature. I'm just going to shut the video down and put the stove in. You're gonna set up the stove, Charlie? Wonderful. Now I have to say, Charlie, you're, you know, a young camper, but you put all the stakes in here. You done a good job. And you put the pole in too, didn't you? Yeah, you like this? All right, so we'll put the stove in next.
And I say it's a really good quality tent for camping in when it's winter.
Yes.
But keep you warm.
It'll keep you warm, dry, but for the price point for $280 with shipping, so that's Canadian. You know, you can spend a lot of money on a canvas tent, but if you're backpacking and if you have a collapsible stove, candle lantern would add some heat to this. Great winter tent, and it stands up really good to the high winds. Do buy half decent tent pegs. The pegs that they send you in the with the tent, too short for winter camping, so make sure that you get some really long winter camping stakes for your tents, because if not, you're going to be having some issues. They're around 7-8 inches, but you probably want a good 11-12 inch stake for them. So I'm going to put the stove in now, and I'll turn it back on once it's set up. With the stove, it took 30 seconds to put in. It fits in real nice. There's Charlie. How are you, Char?
Hi. So me and Dad set this up, and it's a really good quality, and that would keep you warm if it's snowing really hard or something.
Did you put that stove in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you put the pipe on? You're such a good help. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now with LUXE, they show their 3M stoves facing this way, or this way. With the Kni-co packer, I had to turn it so my door is facing the back of the tent, because the firebox is so much longer than the 3M one. If I put it this way, my packer stove would actually be right in the way of the door, so I had to turn it so the door is facing that way. It doesn't really affect the tent any. It still gives me lots of room to put my firewood on this side. I can put my backpack here, my gear here, and you know, you don't want to get too hot. Or I can put my gear in the back here or on this side, and I can set my bedroll up on the back wall, or I can set my bedroll up on this side. But again, this stove is a lot bigger than what LUXE sells, so this one here really throws off the heat. The stack on this chimney, I could reduce it probably one length and drop it down to here, but the higher the flue, you get a better draft and a better burn in the stove. Yes, better quality, exactly. So it'll give me a better burn and allow the heat to stay in the tent and the smoke come up through the chimney. So we're going to come inside. So again, I can fiddle around with the stove a little bit. I can turn it a little bit that way, but it gives me lots of room inside here. You can have the front door open on it. Luxe does have screen bottoms or tents that come inside. So what they do, they connect to the top and the screen does come down, and you can get bathtub screened inserts for these tents. So you can use it, you know, in the summertime without the worry of insects getting in or being bit by mosquitoes. So they do have inserts, and where the screen attaches to is on the little ties on here, so they get the tie offs there, or you can get the entire tent section for the inside of this. But again, I get this strictly for winter camping, so I don't worry about insects in the winter. Charlie, you're having fun over there. Yeah, you used to like hanging out in the tents. But again, this is a beautiful tent for the price point. It's not canvas, so granted it doesn't have the quality or dexterity, but I cannot make a tent out of a tarp this well. For the weight of it, you're looking at the weight. Again, this is less than 2 pounds. So, you know, if you're going backpacking, throw this in a backpack and away you go. You know, you're not going to carry around a 10-pound tent in a backpack. If you have a toboggan or a sled, you know, you can throw your gear in that if you're winter camping. But for this to be used as a 4-season tent, great idea. But this is wintertime for me. So again, here's a backer stove. I put a false bottom into the stove so it doesn't burn at the bottom. So I can remove it and it'll save the bottom. I just picked up some sheet metal. I bent the corners so it fits in the bottom. Drilled holes down through the bottom of it. That way it allows good airflow, and away you go. But this stove is beautiful. That has a nice draft on it. It has another draft up on the pipe. The legs are foldable. This stove here, unlike the 3Ms, this stove has multiple options. You can get a side shelf for it, so you can use it for cooking, or you can get a water tank for it. So if you're out in the wintertime, if you want hot water or fresh water all the time, it has a water tank for the side of this. I do not have those yet. I do plan on getting them, but to have a shelf for cooking, you know, is great. This has a big enough top that you can boil water on it and have a frying pan on top. And that's one of the features that the 3M does not have. It has a smaller cook surface. It doesn't give you the options for the water tank or a shelf. The Kni-co packer does give you those options, but the Kni-co packer is used in bigger tents, and it gives you the heating capability of heating something probably 4 times the size of this tent here. Again, I'm not going to have it roasted in here. I had it up a couple times this year, and a small fire heated this tent well above 80-90 degrees, and I was sweating in here. I had to strip down to my t-shirt and pants because it was so overwhelming. But this is the LUXE Hexpeak XL tent is the review. Thank you, Charlie. Along with the Kni-co packer stove, and yeah, this is a great all-around ultralight tent. This is ultralight. The stove is not.
Dad.
Yes.
One question. This is a good one for also for the viewers who's watching this video. Did the tent come with the stove?
No, the stove came separately. I bought the stove separate, and I got the tent from the States. So I had to order the tent from the States, and the stove was bought from Bass Pro. But that was a great question. But is it possible to buy the stove, the 3M stove and the tent? Yes, you can get it all from LUXE hiking equipment, and they have multiple options and multiple tents for winter camping, and all kinds of accessories with them. Beautiful tents, beautiful stove, and I highly recommend it. And yeah,
And to clean out the tent.
you clean up the tent, wonderful, and the kiddos love them. Again, subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell, and there'll be plenty more gear reviews. I will be taking this out in the winter time, and I'll be doing a winter solo camping trip, and you'll get to see this beast in action. Really looking forward to it, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care.